Welcome to Spotlight ETSU. I'm your host, Kenneth Medley. Today we are joined by James Morrison and Lee Sullivan, both members of the Student Veterans of America here at East Tennessee State University. Thank you both for being here with us today, James.
Thank you
Lee,
for having us.
appreciate you. In our first segment, we're going to take a few minutes to get to know both of our guests, their background, their service records, and a little bit of their history. And then we're going to talk a bit about how these fine gentlemen are both involved with veteran community service programs, helping other veterans here in East Tennessee. So I'm going to turn it over to James. Could you please just give us, minute, 2 minutes of your background, where you're from, where you went to school initially, why did you join the military, your service record, and stuff like that?
Sure. I'm James Morris. I grew up originally in Missouri, went to a little small town in southeast Missouri, and I met my wife in Missouri, and she got a job out here at NFS, Nuclear Fuel Services in Irwin, and that's what brought me out to East Tennessee. But I joined the Army and enlisted as a combat engineer. That's basically a lot of that is clearing roadside bombs or improvised explosive devices, as they're known. I got deployed to Iraq in 2006 as part of a route clearance engineering team, and we had kind of a hot time of it there in 2006. That was just before the surge, and I joined the Army initially to serve my country. I found a lot of camaraderie in the Army, and it was a great way for me. I felt like it was an obligation to serve my country and to give something back to this great nation. And I'm proud to have served, and I'm proud to be part of the veterans community here at ETSU.
How long were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for 6 years.
And what made you decide to get out?
I felt like I had done my part. With that deployment under my belt, I felt like I had done my service to the country, and that I was ready to start the transition to civilian life and grow my beard out.
Yeah, awesome beards are always awesome. All right, Lee, would you mind take a few minutes, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your background?
Sure. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, of all places, and a little bit after high school, I gave culinary school a shot because I was very passionate about cooking and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't fulfilling what I was after, and I didn't know what I was after until I started looking into the military, and I thought that would be the perfect way for me to give back and to feel better about what I was doing with life. And I was in for 4 years. I did 2 deployments to the Gulf in various places. I was with a riverine squad, a coastal riverine squadron. We mostly did maritime security and various other expeditionary work. And while I was in, I was dating my high school sweetheart, Patience, who you know, also from LA. And I would visit her here and fell in love with the place and fell in love with her. And then when it came time to sign up or get out, I decided to get out and take advantage of the GI Bill and also grow a little bit of facial hair.
Yeah. Seems to be a common trend among veterans, especially here in East Tennessee.
Oh, sure.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
What brought you to Johnson City, other than your wife? Like, what was the thing that kept you here and kept you in school here at East Tennessee rather than maybe King College or somewhere else?
Well, I had looked into the universities in the area once we decided to move up here. It's a beautiful area, and it reminds me a lot of the Ozarks in Missouri and Arkansas that I grew up in. Everyone is really friendly and outgoing, and people will greet you on the street and say hello, and that made me feel like I was kind of back home. And I chose ETSU because of their excellent business program. I'm a business management major. I've got a minor in marketing, and the emphasis is on logistics and supply chain. And they've got a great program here, and looking forward to graduating in December. And I feel like I've learned a lot during my time here, and it's been a great program.
Lee, is it Patience that just brought you here and kept you here, or has ETSU brought you some more fulfillment?
Definitely. East Tennessee in general, the reason I decided to go here is because it's the exact opposite of Los Angeles. The people are nice. Yeah. It's beautiful. And I really liked the school. I'd taken a tour of it before, so I decided to go with the business finance route. I'm enjoying it so far. It's my first semester, but I really like it, and just fallen more and more in love with East Tennessee and with the school every day.
I was going to ask you that. I myself have never traveled to Los Angeles, but speaking, and I do this dangerously, referencing stereotypes, you kind of went against the grain with the military, probably, from what I've gathered with a lot of people from that area.
It's hard to say because LA is such a huge population. I think I don't know if it was the case for you, but I've come across a lot of people while I was in the service from the South who serving is more of a tradition. I think you see that a lot less in LA. But I certainly go against the stereotype of somebody from LA if you ask somebody else from LA. If you ask somebody from here, I guess I fit the part of somebody from LA. But if you talk to anyone else, not really.
That's a common occurrence here too, because I'm not originally from the Johnson City area, and a lot of people outside of here say I have a Southern accent, and a lot of people here say I don't.
Right.
So that's kind of funny. How has it been, you know, that transition, getting out, enjoying your time? Was there struggles coming out, or was it just smooth sailing after the military?
I would say that there's quite a bit of struggles that I think a lot of veterans go through. That transition can be really tough. You go from an environment that's very structured and rigid to an environment where suddenly, you know, you're on your own. You have to make your own decisions, and I know that's been kind of a problem with veterans here at ETSU. They transition out of the military and they come to college, and then they have a tough time feeling like they fit in anywhere. They have a tough time feeling like they connect with anyone else on campus. You know, these guys are usually in their mid-20s or even older, guys that decide to go back to school like myself, and then suddenly they're thrust into a classroom with college freshmen that are 18, 19 years old and have a very different experience growing up. And so it's hard for them to find connections and common ground with a lot of the other students. And so I think that's why the Student Veterans of America is such an important part of student life here, is we're bringing veterans together, and so that they know that they're not alone. There's other men and women that are going through the exact same thing, that have the same struggles that you're going through, and it helps them to not feel isolated.
I was going to ask you, is that how you got involved with Student Veterans of America, or why you got involved with it? Was as part of that transition, was it for help or to help?
It was a little bit of both. It started out, I think it was just like a little barbecue, a little get-together, and then the SVA kind of lapsed into non-existence there for a little while, and there wasn't anyone doing anything. There wasn't anyone coming together, and so I decided that it was time for me to step up and bring the organization into a little bit more formal standing on campus. I'm really proud of the way that the veterans here at ETSU have come together and formed a team, and I look forward to seeing what they're going to do in the future now that I'm on the way out.
Yeah. So Lee, you're not graduating soon, and is that kind of your same involvement of how you got into the SVA? What was your experience coming into college, transitioning, and then getting involved with Student Veterans of America?
Similar to what you were talking about. I mean, you did an excellent job of explaining it, but for me, it was something I didn't even know existed when I got out in April, and while I was registering for the fall, I spent a decent amount of time talking to Mr. Bonch, who is the veteran director at school, and he told me about it, and I decided to give it a shot, and it was exactly what I needed. It was you did a really great job of talking about how the classroom environment, how it differs. There is a noticeable difference, and so it was great to find some like-minded people. Somebody will laugh at the bad jokes, and also people who are actively giving back. And yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for.
What has been the struggle rebuilding the SVA since that little lapse that you were talking about?
I would say that a lot of veterans across all branches, because of the isolation that they might feel on campus, get into a routine. And the routine might be, you know, they get up, they go to class, they go to the gym, and then they go back to their apartment and play Xbox. And that's it, and that's daily life. And they get into that cycle and they get stuck into that continual cycle, and they don't make a lot of contact outside of their classmates who they might not feel like they have a lot of connection with. And then they feel like they're alone. And they feel like, you know, that they're going through this all on their own. And they don't have to feel that way. There's 600 students here using GI Bill benefits. Of those, there are over 300 that are actual veterans. That is, they've either gotten out or they're currently serving. And I'd say that all of us have the exact same experiences. And we can come together as a community and get some amazing things done.
All right, that's some great information, and we're about to take a quick break here in about 45 seconds or so. And I just want to point out, y'all can really tell the difference between 4-year senior beard and fresh out of the military beard.
I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah,
He's
thank you.
still got his going
I shaved
on,
this morning,
getting
though.
there. Mine's a project that comes and goes. I've been out for about 4 years now, so, you know, getting there. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about the community projects and outreach programs that the SVA is involved with, and the painting projects and how you guys can help out the veterans in your community. Thank you for joining us at Spotlight ETSU.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.org.
It's not just one person, it's a group, it's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Can I go to the sleepover?
I want you to promise me something. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.org.
Welcome back to Spotlight ETSU. If you weren't with us during our first segment, we are joined today by James Morris and Lee Sullivan, both veterans that are involved with the Student Veterans of America here at ETSU. We took a minute to get to know them, a little bit of their history and their military background, and now we're going to be talking about the community projects in the area that they're involved with. And I'm going ahead and turn it pretty much straight over to James, because you've been doing this for a while now, and you've helped establish a lot of these connections. What are some of the big projects that the SVA has and have continued in the region for the last few years since you've been involved?
Well, besides getting veterans together on campus here at ETSU, we've got quite a few programs that we participate in. A new one for this year is actually our Holiday Expo and Bazaar. That's coming up in the 16th and 17th of November. And it's our first time doing it, and it's been a real blast. It's been a lot of work, but I think it's going to pay off. We've got a lot of vendors coming out. I think we've got over 40 vendors now, and it's going to be fantastic. We also participate in Reads Across America. That's where we place wreaths at the grave sites of the fallen here just across the street at the VA hospital, and that's something that we take very seriously, honoring those that have gone before us and made the ultimate sacrifice. Additionally, we've been working on restoring the Iwo Jima Memorial in Elizabethton at the VFW. That's been an ongoing project. It's been a lot of work, but it's coming along. It's looking pretty good, I think. And one of the things that we've worked with the ROTC department, the Department of Military Science here at ETSU, they've worked alongside us, and they've been able to take some of our real-world military experience, and we've helped to train and make better cadets, and hopefully better second lieutenants for the Army. I was enlisted. A lot of the vets here at ETSU are former enlisted, and it's a way for us to kind of give back and maybe help make better second lieutenants for the Army that's in the future.
I think the Army could use some better second lieutenants.
Sure.
I think we all could use a little bit of better leadership and mentorship from time to time. So it's not a bang at the officers or anything like that. Lee, what is your involvement being, since you're new to the SVA, new to ETSU, and new to the region, how have you found the outreach programs, and what are some of the ones that you've been involved with?
Well, the Holiday Expo coming up will be one of the first. I wasn't able to make it to the previous event, which was the Ruck and Run last weekend. And to my understanding, there's a lot of events that we host and that I hope to host in the future. But there's an equal number or more that we participate in as well. I believe we're doing the Toys for Tots potentially this holiday season, and laying the wreaths, helping to restore the memorial. James nailed a lot of them. Like I said, I'm very new to the scene, so I've only been around for so long. Only been so much I've been able to participate in, but I'm really looking forward to participating in all the upcoming events, as well as started some of my own.
Was community outreach something that you did before the military, or is it something that you're new to?
Absolutely, and even while I was in the military, I would volunteer on my free time. I've always been blessed from the day I was born. I've always been very blessed with my situation, and I think that it's super important for people who do have the ability to give back and to help others who do not, especially for veterans. It's spending some time at the VA, at Mountain Home. You can see there's a big gap in some of the older vets, some of the newer vets, and so I feel a certain obligation to my seniors to give them a hand with anything and everything we can.
James?
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of SVA members who volunteer their time at the VA hospital. With the VA hospital being right here in Johnson City, that means there are a lot of disabled vets that live in the community, and sometimes they need a help up. They need a little help, we're still pretty strong of back and weak of mind, and so we feel like it's a service to our community, so that we can help them out whenever they need it. I know that you were there. I think it was last year whenever we helped a disabled vet who needed to move some furniture into a new apartment. Their living situation had changed for the better, and they needed some help getting some furniture into an apartment, and we enjoy doing that kind of thing. We may not, since we're still students, we may not be financially able to help out as much as we might like to, but we feel like we can volunteer our time and our efforts to help veterans in the community.
What has been some of the underlying purposes of just motivation for you to take extra time that you could be applying to schoolwork or something else to continue to give back? I mean, a lot of people, volunteer their time and stuff, and they do it for resume padding or whatever. And I know that day that we helped that woman move, the veteran that moved, she really appreciated that. And I know you and Corey and myself enjoyed it ourselves probably more than she did, I think. What is it that makes you just keep doing that?
Well, first of all, it feels good to help other people, to know that you know, you can give back to the community a little bit. I would say a large part of it is the camaraderie that we build. I know that a lot of guys get out and then they start to think about, man, maybe I should re-enlist, maybe I should get back in. And the thing that I miss the most, and I think a thing that a lot of other veterans miss the most, is the camaraderie. It's the bond, the fellowship that you have with the soldiers or Marines or Navy personnel you might be sailors who might be serving alongside, and to work together towards a common goal is something that I think that a lot of guys miss, and to come together and to give back to the community in that way helps reignite that bond of brotherhood a little bit, and it's something that I think we're blessed to do, and I hope we will continue to do it in the future.
Lee, anything to add?
No, once again, kind of nailed it. It's really the only thing I miss. I get asked frequently if I miss it or if I do it again, and yes, I miss it, and yes, I would do it again, but the aspect that I do miss is the camaraderie, and is the people who I became brothers with while I was in. And it really does feel good to give back. And like I said earlier, there's a very clear gap. I'm getting out at a time, and I served at the time where the servicemen and women have the overwhelming support of the people and of their government, and I get out, I get school paid for, I've got a great deal going, but there's a lot of vets here in this area especially who do not have that, or who do, but they didn't have that when they were in my shoes. And because of that, they're in a pretty rough spot right now. So
I do think the community here in this area really gives back. Nate Morabito, the community watchdog for one of our local affiliates, actually broke the story on the delay times for the veterans that spawned a national investigation into it, and it's something that's still going on. Oh, yeah. What in the community do you think it is that so many people around here, including yourselves, cause everybody to give back like that, especially to veterans? Is it the volunteer state? Is it underlying culture to give or to volunteer time? What do you think it is in this area that drives people?
I think there's a desire to service and to give back to the community. I think that's something that I've found here, is that people are willing to go the extra mile to help out their neighbors, not just their friends, but complete strangers. And so I think that people feel somewhat obligated to help out those who may need a hand, and that's something that's great about living in this area, and something that I really appreciate.
Lee?
It's a volunteer state. There's a lot of good things happening in this area right now, and a lot of giving, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, there is a big presence and a big history of people from this area serving, and I think that's present. That's it's clear. You see veterans as young as me and as old as the guys serving in World War II living in this area. So veterans are a big part of this community. For sure.
Yeah. All right, we're about done, and we're about out of time here, so I'm going to give each of y'all about 30-45 seconds. Go ahead, talk to the audience about an outreach program or a program that maybe they could help with, or maybe one of your favorites that you just want to shine a light on a little bit.
Sure. Besides the Student Veterans of America here at ETSU, I would like to draw your attention to Project Healing Waters. I've enjoyed the fly fishing class here at ETSU, And I've found a lot of peace on the river, and that's something that Project Healing Waters does. They take veterans in the community and they take them out to go fly fishing. And it may seem a little bit silly, but there's some peace and some quiet there to be found on the river, and it's a great program, and I hope you'll look into it. And if you're a veteran, I hope that you'll be a part of it.
James, it's not that silly. There's actually a lot of research out there about getting outside to help your cognitive state. I'm actually doing a piece on that. Lee, anything you want to say directly to the audience, a program you want to highlight?
There's a lot of great ones that I've been learning about, and there's so many that are not hosted by the SVA, but that the SVA is a part of. Such as the Ruck and Run that just happened, and I just want to urge people to look out for upcoming events and for flyers all around campus, on social media. There's always things going on that will benefit veterans, and the more people who help out, the better.
All right, thank you both for joining us here on Spotlight ETSU today.
Thank you very much.
I know it's probably not something y'all are used to, and
Sure.
we got through it, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank everybody out there for joining us. Make sure you come with us next week, or tune back in with us next week. It's going to be our last episode of the fall 2017 season. So come back here, and we're going to be shining a spotlight on Leon Humphreys, our very own. He's going to be taking over for me after I'm done with Spotlight. Thank y'all.
Can I go to the sleepover?
I want you to promise me something. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.com.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels, coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.com.
So how was work?
It was 1,300 hours. My math class from 302 was in the trenches. Davy Roth had it the worst. Fractions were coming at him left and right. He just didn't get the damn things. 2 days ago, I tried to teach him what 1/4 of 1/2 was using different sizes of blocks. Yesterday, I tried again by dividing up pizza. Both missions failed.
Oh, no.
But today, I was ready. I created a combat math game where the only way to beat the enemy is to out-fraction them. Davy conquered every last denominator. My game was so successful, the principal is deploying it to math squadrons all over the school. Anywho, how was your day?
Oh, today my boss treated the office to salad wraps.
Salad wraps.
No.